It's day 8. It's definitely 100% day 8. We definitely didn't just start and scrap a video because I couldn't count from 1 to 8-ish. We definitely didn't do that. So, what is on Doctor Who on Twitch? Day 8. Let's have a wee look at that sketch. It's the Time Monster, 5 episodes. You had the first episode of that last night. The Three Doctors, oof, banger, 4 episodes. Three Doctors is only 4 episodes. Interesting. Carnival of Monsters, 4 episodes. Frontier in Space, 6 episodes. And then Planet of the Daleks, 6 episodes. That is a jam-packed night of Doc Hook. Hello again. It's been several days since I filmed the last block of these, so I totally just messed up an episode there. We started an episode and I was like, it's day 8, isn't it? It's definitely day 8. And then I looked at the list of episodes and I was like, wait a minute, did I do those episodes on the last video? I didn't bother to check. Professionalism. That is the name of the game. Aye, it's the Time Monster to begin with tonight, which I probably didn't cover in the last video because I've not seen that episode. I think it's the Atlantis one. I think I watched a wee bit of it there on the stream the new. Pertwee was like Matador and a Minotaur, which was pretty hot. But other than that, I can't really say I've seen a single second of the Time Monster, and I'm missing it again. Even though this has been my second attempt to catch it for free, I'll probably watch it from the semi-start tomorrow again. If I'm up early enough in the morning, which I might be, because I might make a point of it before the old work. But I don't really have much to say about the Time Monster, as I am inexperienced with it. But if you are like myself, watch it on the repeat, or just tune in now if you're not bothered about missing stuff. And then after that, it's the Three Doctors, the first multi-doctor epic. And I feel like there's kind of a tendency amongst the fans to not like the Three Doctors. I feel, well, not like it, but like not give it enough love, because some elements of it are quite silly, which, you know, that's Doctor Who, I would say to that. I love the monsters in it. I love the antimatter monsters. They're like Orby monsters. They're like they're kind of like a bad version of the Axos from a couple nights ago, or like a cuter version of the Axos. They're kind of like big, bulbous, very like kind of hungover psychedelic monsters that are essentially one piece. I want to say it's like a one-piece costume that the actors like wobble about inside of, and I want to say they're not shot from where you would see the feet, so they're kind of just very unconvincingly encroach upon Unit and Unit's base. And I feel like they walk through a wall at one point. I feel like they do something to a wall by just being there, although that might just be my memory. Again, most of the series will just be me being like, I feel like this happened. But aye, it's got Omega. It's got a cracking design for Omega. I quite like his second form, honestly. We'll get to that when we get to Davidson. I don't know why I called him Pertwee there. I bubbled the two up. But yeah, I quite like Omega in all of his appearances, all 2 of his appearances in the classic show. It's a good, I guess it didn't come off that well in his second appearance, but like it's such a good like Time Lordy lore thing that you'd think they would have exploited more of, really. I know they got to the hand of Omega later on, and that kind of restored kind of the mythiness of it, but, you know, Time Lord society before it gets, you know, very, 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 very bogged down in like political satire, I guess, under Baker. I say under Baker, during Baker's time when they did those Time Lord episodes that, well, there'll be plenty of time to talk about them. But I like Three Doctors quite a lot, and like it's a shame that like Hartnell's too old, too like ill to do stuff other than be in that chair. But as a Wayne, I never really noticed that. That was like that was a growing older thing, and it being pointed out kind of thing. Never really questioned that when I was wee. I was just like, that's the first Doctor. He's trapped in some sort of time warp. That's perfectly fine. Other than that, I don't really remember. I feel like the Doctor, like, CQC's this, like, goblin man in a black void for what felt like forever. That's why I was questioning it only being 4 episodes, because that fight felt like it went on for at least an episode. So, very brisk pace, very brisk pace. Other than that, I don't really remember much about the Three Doctors. Like, I have seen it multiple times. Like, I saw it on seen it on DVD hundreds of times, but Orby monsters, Omega being a cracking villain, and the Doctor wrestling a dude in a void for a bit. Banging episode, very historic episode, one you're probably tuned to watch because it's a multi-Doctor episode. Carnival of Monsters is another one that I have zero experience with. I'm not impressing anyone with my scattershot history of the show. I've not seen every episode, basically, and I'm kind of happy with that. I'm kind of happy with there being stuff that I'll eventually see. It's good. I've got classic Who to look forward to. It's a vibe. But I like Carnival of Monsters is that one that's in the memes, isn't it? With like the Doctor and Joe being tiny, and the guy doesn't want to put his hand into the box that they're in to pick them up, and there's like sandworm-looking fools. I want to say that's Carnival of Monsters. I'm basically only saying that because it's one of the few ones I haven't seen, and I've seen clips of it. So let's say it's that one. That sock puppet monster looks great. Maybe it wins out for like Monster of the Night, Frontier in Space, and Planet of the Daleks. Yeah, are Daleks exempt? Have we set down the rules for Monster of the Night? Because like any night which Daleks or Cybermen appear, they're probably going to be the Monster of the Night by default. So we just say Daleks are the Monster of the Night, obviously. But of the non-Dalek ones, probably the Orby monsters, the antimatter lads, / I guess Omega himself, because he's a bit of a creature, where he's just, paper mache mask. Yes, they I think I'll be confident. I mean, the draconian designs are cracking, and they do have Ogrins, don't they, in Frontier in Space? Ooh, I'm going to say Orby monsters. Let's keep it nice and simple, nice and cut and dry. Those antimatter lads from Three Doctors are my Monster of the Night. Don't know what my pick of the night would be, actually. We'll talk about the other episodes before that. So Carnival of Monsters is just the experience with, and then it's Frontier in Space and Planet of the Daleks, which we will talk about as a two-parter because it's like a massive, long season finale kind of thing. And also, I have the DVD box set, where it's the 2 episodes together, and they're very much presented as being a singular thing. I think the special features, they were saying that those episodes were to be... They were trying to make an episode or try to make a story to surpass Dalek Master Plan in terms of like big banger show length, myth, a big arc kind of thing. They were trying, and for whatever reason that kind of half fell through, but did. I quite like Frontier in Space. I've seen it a few times now. It's very like they're going for like kind of Star Trek-y kind of thing, like a space opera. There's a lot of going back and forth between. Like if you look at it, a lot of the skeleton of the story of Frontier in Space is the Doctor and Joe and the Master cutting between planets, between Earth and Draconia, I want to say, and a lot of the mechanics is just some combination of those three being imprisoned on various spaceships that are like... I really want to make the spaceships from Frontier in Space a little side note, because they're very clearly like a tennis ball and like a toilet roll tube. They're very like classic-y, great, fantastic budget Doctor Who props, and they look great. And I will defend them. I'm sure no one has like a vendetta against them, because you probably don't know they exist and have very little, amount to care about them. But I will defend them and fight you on them because they look cracking. But yes, a lot of that story is just them being imprisoned. And I know a lot of classic Who in general is just most of the characters being imprisoned for various lengths of time. I'm a huge fan of that original Time Team in the Doctor Who magazines, little ticker for the amount of times a regular on the show was imprisoned, like per episode. And by the time they ended, I'm pretty sure that was in the thousands. So a lot of Classic Who is just that. So I can't really like level that as a criticism of them, but a lot of that story is just them going between planets and being imprisoned. There's vibe. There is vibe. I like the Master's really fun in it. He's like turns up and he's like, is he a magistrate? He's some like master pun disguise, and he's like a space cop, and he's like, oh, I'm taking these prisoners back to the thing because the Doctor is clearly like a space terrorist, and he just gets to be sassy for an episode. Well, an episode, it's like a story. He gets to be sassy for a story, and I remember a lot of him just kind of sitting at the controls of his wee toilet roll tube spaceship, reading a book, being sassy, and not really caring about what the plot is until it needs to happen. That's some of my best, my favouriteest masterwork is that. It was good. And then that story has there's a building that is like the EarthGov embassy or headquarters of EarthGov in the future they go to, and it's clearly some like impressive for the 70s big office building or like shopping center or something. It's very angular, but like it's meant to be like, oh, this impressive space building, but you watch it now and it's like, oh, that's pretty grim looking. That's some pretty grim looking 70s architecture, and I love it. And that's some of my top memories about the episode is that grim building. And the Draconians, to be fair, the Draconian designs, as I was saying, look really cracking for the 70s, and I guess just in general. You've got wee pointy shoulders, if I recall correctly. I love a wee pointy shouldered alien. And Draconian is a great name for an alien species in Doctor Who in particular. So if it wasn't for those antimatter lads, they probably would be the monster of the night. Do you call them monsters? Is that crossing the line? Because they are just people. Like, they're space people, but they're not necessarily menacing folk, although there is a lot of, Draconian Earth rivalry. It's getting into like Cold War stuff, but it's like 70s Cold War stuff, so it's like a different flavor from the kind of nukes are about to happen flavor of the 80s, which I know it was the whole Cold War was that flavor, but specifically there's something about the 70s flavor of that seems it's more spy tinged than it is definite nuclear Armageddon tinged that the 80s gets into, and I guess retroactive 60s fiction gets into. But I quite like Frontier in Space, and Planet of the Daleks, I believe it is. Planet of the Daleks? Is that what it's called? Yeah, Planet of the Daleks. It's a story that I have a specific shard of nostalgia for, and that's the space suits that they do. I guess they're Thals. I feel like they're Thals, where they're like foamy, tubey, cool-looking 70s spacesuits. Something you might even see in like 2000 AD in the past. Like that spacesuit design against the jungle backdrop is something I must have seen at a very young age, because there's like just a shard of nostalgia in my brain for it. That and the Dalek army that you see at one point that's clearly just little models, that's lodged deep in my brain. So I want to love Planet of the Daleks, but despite having the DVD of it, and I think I've just got it in the other room over there, I don't think I've watched it to completion as an adult, which is a hell of a sentence, but I don't think I have, even though I've seen Frontier in Space now multiple times, which I feel like is the more boring of the two, because the other one has Daleks, so I don't really know what I'm doing. And it's like those weird 70s Daleks where like they're the in-betweens before like they had the classic Daleks in the 60s and then they had to like scrape them together in the 70s. And is Planet of the Daleks the first one? I'm going to look at the schedule. Does it come... Is Day of the Daleks already happened? No, Death to the Daleks is going to happen. Are they showing Day of the Daleks? I don't know if they're showing Day of the Daleks. Ambassadors of Death, Colin Space. Okay. 3 Doctors, Frontier in Space, Green Death, Time War, Invasion of the Dinosaurs, Death of the Daleks. It doesn't really look like they're showing Day of the Daleks. That's... the Twitch I don't know what to think about the Twitch and its Daleks, because I kind of understood it because they weren't showing the ones. Was Day of the Daleks not written by Nation? Or was it written by? Was it written by the team at the time? That would explain that. Day of the Daleks has Shonky Daleks, and they went back and fixed it in the DVD special edition. And fair play to them. But I know you probably have the opportunity to look at the shoddy Daleks in the special edition, but there's something about those shoddy Daleks. There's something about them. They're terrible, and I would urge you to seek them out. They've got weird voices, and they're clearly some form of paper mache. And there's only like 2 of them. I feel like I was blown away. I watched the DVD extra. We're just going to talk about Day of the Daleks because might not even be called that, but we're going to talk about Day of the Daleks because I watched the DVD special feature on YouTube the other day because it's just up. Someone's like uploading them, and they got the money somehow to add more Daleks and film special effects and extra unit soldiers being blown up because it wasn't very convincing in the original episode, which blew my mind because isn't that every classic? Like, why were you so like offended by Day of the Daleks? Was it that? Because like I remember watching it on some channel. Did I have was it on the Omnibus? I remember seeing it and remember enjoying it and really liking it. And it had like a Terminator plot because Day of the Daleks is like the future rebels send people back to destroy a peace conference. And it's the second peace conference that UNIT has to deal with. And they send them back. And then the Daleks also send people back to destroy the peace conference to stop the rebel. Like, it's just Terminator. And like the DVD special features made it clear that there was only like 2 Daleks. And even like Pertwee and like Katie Manning. Is it Katie Manning? Jo Grant. The actress was like, they said it was like the low point in their Doctor Who career because of the sheer lack of like the Dalek assault, and it was so unconvincing. But like it's Doctor Who. Like, isn't that everything? I know they do really good work and there's really like impressive stuff, but they made new effects for the special edition. I wonder if I have that somewhere. I'll have to compare. But there's a weird vibe to 70s Daleks and like Pertwee's Daleks in particular. When we get to Death to the Daleks, which I love, that's a spoiler for tomorrow's video, the video after it, because I love Death to the Daleks. It's not great, but it's one of my loved ones. Stop talking bad about my loved ones. The Daleks. I feel like they spray paint a Dalek at one point, and it's great. Because isn't the plot that the Daleks want to be invisible so they can be even better? But like, that's such like a weird, like classic series plot point that the Daleks be invisible is like a hard thing to achieve. Because like in New Who, Daleks have like force shields and they've got like they've got everything basically. It's weird that they choose still to be Dalek shaped, but I guess that's because they're so racist and so set in their racism that clearly know the Daleks are superior. And this is the way they've always like. You can do commentary there, and you can, but with all their tech, it's kind of weird that they're still Dalek shaped. But they do like time travel stuff, so like I'm sure there's properly invisible Daleks about now, and they're probably not that much of a problem. Once you get to a certain tech level, invisibleness isn't really that. Like it's a thing, but is it that much of a thing? You can already travel through space and potentially time by that point. So this has been What's on Twitch today on Doctor Who. I had a solid name for this and I've forgotten it. But yes, I'll probably make some more blocks of these episodes because I'm having fun and I'm on a talky talk vibe. So thanks for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe. It very much helps because I can see the numbers go up and it makes me feel good. So bye. I still have to